All right. Whew. So, first of all, before I get into this video, I want to say my apologies on my hiatus from YouTube for a couple weeks. Obviously, I've been dealing with some things, and it's been about like 2.5 weeks since I posted a video, which is pretty unheard of for me to go that long. A lot of people reached out to me and was like, hey, you okay? I was like, I got a video about it coming out, don't worry. Yeah, you guys can read. I have been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. For those of you who are gonna Google it, I'll try to save you the time, but I'm still learning about it myself, very new to me. So yeah, it is a autoimmune disease, they think it's an autoimmune disease, where your body attacks the myelin sheathing around your nerves. Picture it like this, right? So let's pretend this is one of your nerves. This is the protective sheathing around your nerves, the myelin. I'm probably pronouncing that slightly incorrectly. Your body treats this as like a foreign enemy, essentially. And when it exposes your nerves after enough damage, they do all sorts of weird things. Muscle spasms, numbness, loss of control. There's a lot. There's a lot that happens with that. And it leaves these scars on your brain called lesions. And I have lesions on my brain. Now, before we get any further, I'm not dying. I'm not quitting YouTube. I'm not passing away. You know, you guys are probably stuck with me for a good bit longer, which is unfortunate, I know. But it is gonna be suck. There's gonna be a lot of suck days, a lot of suck weeks, maybe suck months. I'm not really sure what to wholeheartedly expect long-term from this, but it is not curable. There is no cure for it. It is something that you live with. It is a for-lifer disease kind of deal. And it creates all sorts of weird neurological issues. It's a neurological disorder. And I'll go over my personal experiences with those in a second, but I really hardcore considered not making this video because I just didn't want it to be used as ammo against me, if that makes sense. Thinking to yourself, who would dare insult or attack somebody with a disease about their own disease, right? You're fucking wrong. I've been doing it with Dan, if you will, for about 10 years now. Since 2013, I've been doing it with Dan. And I've seen the kind of people that are out there, you know? I've seen the mean-spirited individuals and what they will say. I considered a lot about, if you will, suffering in silence with this, just because I didn't want it to be used as ammo against me, because I know it will be. It's inevitable. But the deciding factor for me was the fact that I do have a platform. I have not the biggest platform in the world, but I have a decent sized platform, especially for influencers today. I hate that word, but we'll use it here. I genuinely think with my experiences and what's going on with me and my life, I can help other people on more than just one way, more than just bringing them entertainment or someone to laugh at, not with, but at. I'm probably a lot like you guys. I'd heard the name multiple sclerosis. I've heard of MS before, but I didn't really know what it was about. It's a pretty rare disease. I think it's like about 1 million people have multiple sclerosis in the US, maybe. But the problem with it is, like I said, that there's no cure for it. But even in the past 10 years, according to my neurologists and stuff like that, and my doctors, the technology and the medicine and the treatment for it has increased so substantially, it's hopefully not gonna affect me too much. And the good news also being is that we've caught it extremely early, to the point where, like, if I had gotten my brain MRIs and whatnot done maybe a year ago when I started experiencing major symptoms, that they wouldn't have caught it, kind of deal. Brain lesions take time to form, and I do have brain lesions. I have several brain lesions in between the lobes of my brain. They call them finger lesions because they look like fingers that are coming up through the brain. I guess that's considered brain damage, which, yeah, nobody's surprised that I have fucking brain damage, right? I don't think anybody watching this video is like, brain damage? Impossible. But I've known something's been wrong for about a year now. For about a solid year, I've known that something was not right with me, physically, mentally, a couple of different things. For the past year, I've spent pretty much every night sleepless, in concern, Googling thing after thing after thing, trying to figure out what's wrong with me. And it's kept me up and it's ruined my life for months. Not the disease, the mental toll that I let it have on me. For a long time, I didn't have health insurance, so it was expensive for me to go see doctors and pay for stuff out of pocket with like MRIs and whatnot. It was always easier and cheaper for me to Google the symptoms until the point where I would convince myself that that's not what I had. There was a lot of deciding factors for me to go to the doctors and finally get checked out. And they mostly came after my motorcycle accident, because that's when they started getting really bad. Was after my motorcycle accident and around the same time I caught COVID, I got really sick, is when my symptoms ramped up tenfold, if you will. It was almost like they kicked on the disease. Even though that I've had the disease for my whole life, it was like they amplified it, or it could just be the fact that I had a lot of downtime and I noticed them more. But regardless, that's when I started getting concerned, major concern. And the reason why I wanted to make the video, the deciding factor for me was if I can help even one person who was like me, who was scared shitless every night for the past year, Googling symptoms and basically not being able to do anything other than Google it. If I can help even one person convince themselves to get the help that they need, help them maybe figure out what's going on with them, whatever the fucking trolls are gonna say that don't even matter, like no matter what comes of that, if I can help one person do the right thing for themselves, then it'll all be worth it. And that's the ultimate deciding factor for me making the video. Because I've been fighting essentially this for a year. I've known for a year that something was wrong, and I'll go into that right now. One day I was riding in the mountains with Justin. I was in my Corvette. I think he was in his Corvette too. And you know, I've had neck problems my whole life, been in accidents. I sleep like shit. You know, I'm on the computer hunched over all the time. I text like this. You know, I have chronic neck issues, and I've had them for a very long time. But one day after riding in the mountains with Justin, very hard on the neck, right? Very whiplashy, hardcore turns, it's part of it, you know? That evening, after that day, my neck was sore and I started losing the feeling in my left hand. Not necessarily numbness, but more pins and needles feeling. Like if you've ever held a gas leaf blower, if you've ever done any leaf blowing with gas leaf blowers that vibrate like a motherfucker, you know, they leave your hands after using them, they feel tingly, or like maybe you've given a really good high five or slapped the table really hard, they feel tingly, and it gets better in like 30 minutes, right? Give or take. That's how it felt. I was doing some grilling and I lost the feeling in my left hand. I was like, that's weird, but you know what? I know there's nerves that run through your neck. I've had a very hard day on my neck. It's probably what it's related to. And when I'm grilling, I'm looking down, you know? Go to take a shower later that evening, I lose my right hand in the shower. Now both of my hands are numb. And that lasted for about a couple of weeks before I decided to make the right turns and go to the chiropractor, which I strongly and firmly believe in. With my neck issues, chiropractors have always helped me. I've got nothing but nice things to say about chiropractors. And when I went to see him, he was very like, oh yeah, numb hands, see that all the time. It's a very common neck issue. So didn't really think anything of it. So I worked with him for like months. My hands never got better. They never got better. They never got worse really, but they never got better. And so I started being like, hey man, you know, I'm thinking about doing this or doing that. And you know, he really brushed me off. You know, not uncommon for him, I get that, but was really kind of, nah, you don't need to worry about that. No, you're too young for brain tumors. No, you're too young for MS, stuff like that. And that slowly became the concern. Brain tumors and brain cancer often mimic multiple sclerosis symptoms. And that's the hard part about MS, is because it's a diagnosis of exclusion. You have to basically exclude everything else that it could be before there can be like confident, yes, this is MS. So that makes it hard to get a diagnosis, but very slowly from that point on, that's what it was starting to look like. And brain tumors, brain cancer being highly probable because of the symptoms. Between like the vision loss, the muscle spasms, the weakness on one side of the body, cognitive function problems, the list goes on, and it's pretty much like brain tumor, MS. And there's a couple other things in there, but that's like, you Google those symptoms, that's what you get. Very scary shit, for sure. No way about it. Like, yeah, MS, I would say, is a much less scary diagnosis than a brain tumor, but still scary shit, you know? So that's what I did. I started advocating for my health. One of the biggest things that decided me going and getting the appropriate help that I needed was another YouTuber. There's another YouTuber, I watch her channel pretty occasionally, Simone Gretz. Her channel is awesome, by the way. She has this Tesla that she chopped up and turned into a truck. She does a lot of these like really cool off-the-wall projects, and it's really awesome to see a female doing that kind of shit. A lot of the shit that she does makes me look like a fucking amateur. I have major respect for you. I came across her channel when she was being diagnosed with the brain tumor, and it always kind of, she talked about a lot of her symptoms, and they just always stuck with me. And, but as time continued, I started being like, okay, I know that symptom. I started connecting the dots and started realizing that I had a lot of those symptoms, and that kind of got me a little bit more serious into standing up for my own health. So I really want to thank her in particular, mostly because even though it wasn't a brain tumor that I thought I had, it was something that I needed to have checked up on, and I probably wouldn't have done that unless I had had someone that I feel like represented my community going through that kind of stuff. And it made me realize that I needed to advocate for my own health too, because I spent a lot of time brushing off my own symptoms too. So I have nothing but the utmost respect for her, and I also am appreciative of her, because even though that she doesn't know who I am, but because of someone like her advocating for her own health, and because she had a ton of misdiagnoses too. And it's hard, it's scary, and it's hard to do that kind of stuff. And a lot of the times I felt like I was in my own head with my symptoms, because they would come and go. And it was also stuff that I could attribute to a poor diet and whatnot, you know? But then things got worse. Major weakness on one side of my body. Vision loss and color loss in one eye. Fatigue that didn't let up for weeks. Sometimes we would be like, no matter how much I slept, I was still physically exhausted. No matter how much I recovered, I was still in pain. I was still achy, and I was still having pretty much constant muscle cramps, muscle twitches. My stomach was always kind of, you know, not my stomach, but like my stomach muscles. I always felt like they were cramping, and symptom after symptom, they just stayed. And I realized that I needed to stand up for my own health, because nobody else was. And I don't want this video to be a poor me. It's not what this is. It's not a poor Dan video. It's you know, I've come to terms with it. I've accepted it, and I'm actually grateful. I'm so happy, because I've spent the last year, if not longer, trying to figure out what was wrong with me, Googling symptom after symptom, countless sleepless nights with uncertainty about what was going on with my own body. It felt like I was losing control over my body. That was terrifying. It was terrifying to go through that. But now I know what it is. I can receive the help and treatment to help me maintain it. It will continue to deteriorate my body for the rest of my life. But because we caught it so early, because I advocated for my own health, it will be that much more manageable. It'll never be 100%. It can slowly heal over time, especially with doing the right treatments and stuff like that. So the fact that I've caught it early allows me to prevent the decay of my body. I've prevented losing more control over my hands and with my balance. My balance has been a big one. And the symptoms come and go, which was really easy for me to brush it off as like an injury. You know, my back would hurt, and I'd be for sure, you know, oh, I picked that piece of metal up wrong. Or, you know, I crouched down for an hour today. That really hurt my back. I crouched down for forever today. And they would get better. They would get better very slowly over time. So it was really easy for me to just take that as, that's how it is. You know, that's how the body is. And it's not. It's not how the body is. Taking that energy and time and putting it towards myself has allowed me to come to terms with it a lot faster. My only hope is to bring awareness to this shit and help. It sucks that I have to get a disease to die on that hill to support the disease, but that's usually what it takes, am I right? And MS is a rare disease. And the great news is that with DMTs, disease-modifying therapies, the right kind of drugs, and with the help of steroids, which I've been taking for the past 2 days, and it's a lot, it's 31 pills a day, but it's only for 3 days, but the pills taste like fucking shit. They are so bad. They taste like cat vomit. If you've ever been in a room where a cat has puked and you get that smell in your nose and you can kind of almost taste it, like that is how these pills taste. And I have to take 31 of them a day. That is my biggest gripe about this whole thing, is taking, because I don't take pills. I hate fucking prescription medications, and now I have to be a fucking spoonie. I have to be fed pills for the rest of my life probably, which kind of fucking sucks. It's not like drugs, you know, it's not like ketamine or fucking fentanyl or Xanax. It's not gonna, if it's gonna do the opposite, it's gonna help the problem rather than just kind of mask the problem. Most people don't find out that they have multiple sclerosis until they're in their 40s, sometimes 50s. And by then, the deterioration is so drastic, there's no hope for them leading the healthy lives, the functional lives that they're supposed to, as far as like my dexterity, and because working with my hands is so important. I'm on the computer all the time, so typing is a chore. It's impossible to type. Writing, it's so hard for me to write, sign my own name. It's getting better. It will heal over time. But then, you know, if I have a flare up, you know, much like you would if you had some sort of herpes or something, you know, you get a flare up, it gets worse, and that it could last for a couple of days. For the most part, usually for me, a flare up lasts, now that I know what they are, they last for a couple of weeks to about a month and a half. That just means exhaustion, weakness on one side of my body, loss of balance a little, decent balancing issues. It's hard for me to walk sometimes. Cognitive function abilities kind of decrease for a little bit. It's hard for me to think. It's hard for me to concentrate. Vision issues. I lose partial vision and color in one eye. And once you finally come to the conclusion of MS, they're like, hey, medication for this is very expensive. One of the prescriptions that I'm looking at is around $80,000 a year. Thankfully, there's programs that can help with getting people the appropriate treatment, the medication, the help that people need to maintain healthy and active lifestyles. And that's why I'm making this video ultimately. One of the things that I want to show you guys is a key tag that I've made here. It's something that I designed. It's a brain with the MS in it. It's a little keychain. They're for sale right now on this. After this video goes live, they're for sale on my website right now. All of this goes to the support of awareness for multiple sclerosis. Hopefully I'm going to be working with some partners to help spread awareness. I'm also going to hopefully be working with some companies that produce the medicines for the disease and try to get people on these programs to where they can afford it. They can get the medication that they need and not at the cost of $80,000. So that's what if life was a video game, I would now consider this to be my main quest. It went from me just building stuff in my garage, which is great. I still love to do that. That is my other main quest. But my main quest is going to be helping spread awareness and helping individuals get the care that they need for multiple sclerosis. So what I'd like to see from you guys, I know a lot of my viewers probably have multiple sclerosis and or know somebody who have multiple sclerosis. I'd really hope if you guys could not only share your experiences with the disease itself for the people that you know on this video, on these comments, but help others. Reach out to others that are in the comment section that have just been recently diagnosed or looking for an answer. This is very important to me. This is something that I think that we together can probably make a massive impact on this disease. And I've never felt anything quite as strongly as I do about anything else, as a matter of fact. I've always known two things in my life. I wanted to make YouTube videos, and I liked working with my hands. And now I have a third thing. I want to help people with multiple sclerosis, including myself, obviously, for selfish reasons, whatever. And I know a lot of people personally who have been like, this is not fair to you. It sucks that you have to go through this, Dan. I hate this for you. And I don't want this video to be about it. It's not a poor Dan video. I don't feel that way about myself. I never have, because if it wasn't me, it would be somebody else. Maybe the other person isn't as lucky as I am. You know, I have a great support system. I have tons of family and I have tons of friends who are supportive in every industry you could ever ask for. A lot of my family is on medical boards that know some of the best doctors, even the ones in Atlanta who are geared specifically towards multiple sclerosis. Without knowing it for a very long time, until recently, I have an amazing support system, and I would like to share that with you guys. And the more I learn, the more I know, the more I can help people outside of me. And that's so important to me. It means more than anything I've ever done in my life. And I stand very firmly by that, and I appreciate the support you guys are gonna give me. I appreciate all the nice words. But don't make this poor Dan. Sucks for Dan. It's not about that. I felt my feelings about it. I'm okay, I'm acceptant. And if anything, I'm relieved because now I know what's been wrong with me. I know why I have been losing my myself. I've been losing who I am physically. But now I know what it is and I can combat it. I can handle it. Keep trying to tell this to myself. I've had multiple sclerosis. I just didn't know what it was. That's the first part of battling any enemy, is knowing who the fuck your enemy is. You can't fight a battle with someone you don't know. Well, guess what? I just figured out where you fucking live. In me. And I'm gonna kick my ass the best I can. And I'm gonna help those who need it do that too. We are going to kick multiple sclerosis in the fucking teeth. I'm not saying that we can cure this, but I've been speaking to a lot of people and I know that there's a lot of these stage 3 trials for insane improvement stuff. I'm hoping that we can see in my lifetime, but I'm gonna let you guys know kind of about the time that I figured out what it was before anybody would take me seriously at the doctors, and then I'll close the video. This is important to me because I want to share my personal experience with how the disease has been, and it might line up with some stuff that you guys are going through. It also, it could probably convince you to go. So, about a year ago, I was driving with Justin, lost my hands. After I was in my motorcycle accident, it's when it started getting way more noticeable. And whether it be the fact that I had downtime, and there's this whole bit about COVID and neurological association. Even my neurologist said that it might have triggered it per se, maybe triggered a really bad flare-up or something. But after I got my motorcycle accident and was taken to the ER, I contracted COVID from the ER. Go figure, double whammy, right? Bam, bam. And then slowly after that is when I started noticing symptoms. I would get pretty chronic muscle twitches. Twitch in my arm, in my face, in my eyelid. The eyelid was terrifying because that lasted for months. The top of my head, it would twitch. My hands, my fingers, my feet, my legs, pretty much constant. I still have them pretty regularly. I don't think that's going away. They're painless. They're not painful, but they're very agitating. Lots of neuropathy, peripheral neuropathy in my hands, my arm, specifically on the right side of my body. My right leg is heavy. That's the best way I can describe it, is that it feels like my right arm and my right leg are just weighted down, and it makes walking hard, it makes balancing hard, it makes using tools, which is my favorite thing to do, drawing. Typing has been very frustrating. I was very close to 200 words a minute on average when I was typing up essays and writing reviews. And now it's hunt and pick for me. I have to look at the keyboard to feel where my fingers are. And I'm getting better, and part of living with something like this is learning how to adapt and overcome. So I am getting better. Very strange how I kind of lost that ability, what felt like overnight. I went to so many doctors and had so many tests done, blood tests, urine tests, MRI after MRI, after consultation. I kept getting blown off by everybody. I had to go above everybody and be like, I want an MRI. I want to know what's wrong with me, because the point is, no one's gonna look at you and tell you that you have a problem. You have to advocate it for yourself. And it took me a very long time to figure that out. And it was a long battle, and it sounds scary. It really does. You can take whatever bad there is and turn it into how you're gonna improve your future. But it has to be you. It has to be you, because no one else will do it for you. Nobody else did it for me. Without having friends and family who were there for me and knew something was up, I never would have gotten the help that I needed. And the good news is that the neurologist that I found is very, very helpful. How to live with it, how to make it easier. And that's gonna be what I'm doing. I'm gonna get back into the gym and exercise thoroughly. I'm gonna start eating a little bit better, a lot better. I'm just trying to get better sleep. And now I can let myself sleep because I know what's wrong with me and I know how to handle it. And I really look forward to some of the experiences that you guys share with me, because I think that's gonna make the world a difference for me. This is how can we make this better for everybody else? So again, guys, thank you for the wonderful and kind words that I know you're gonna say. I'm so used to you guys being positive to me at this point that I know it's gonna be filled with amazing things. And I cannot tell you how much that means to me. It has made every aspect of my life that much easier with the support system here, and I really don't feel like it's a one-way street. I try to give you guys that support back. That being said, I think now is a great time to probably cap this video off and get back to work. It's something that I've been dealing with for a long time, and now that I know what's going on, I can move on, I can get caught up. I'm recovering now from my fucking flare-up. It sounds so fucking lame. It's time for me to get back to work. I'm a little bit behind on some of my orders, so that's what I'm doing today. I'm cutting, coating, and hanging and banging and shipping out orders and getting caught up. I know you guys understand the with all the shit that's been going on, but I feel like I have to say it because it's important to me that you guys know. I'm not an excuses person. I'll take an L on this one, I'll take a pass. Now I have a chance to actually make a difference. You know, it's one thing, you know, it's like, haha, it's really funny because he says dick a lot, or hey, he makes these cool license plate frames or whatever, you know, no big deal. Slowest fucking bronze, whatever. They're really awesome, check them out on the website. That doesn't help with MS or anything, that's just in my pocket, but you know. This just feels right. It feels like this is supposed to be me. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, if that makes sense. It's not the calling that I wanted. It's not, it's not the destiny that I had pictured in my head of what I was supposed to be doing. It is, however, the hand that I've been dealt. What you want and what was meant for you are two different things, and you gotta suck it up and fucking do it. That's how I felt about it anyway, but now that I'm accepting of it, I feel much better about it. And I'm glad that it's me. Like, I'm glad that it's not my neighbor. I'm glad that it's not you. But if it is you, we're in this together. You're not alone, and neither am I. So yeah, thanks guys. And I will see you in the next one. Dude, fucking A, man, you clumsy ass hands. Poor me, right? Everyone, poor Dan. Fucking stupid.